Okay, you all come in, hit the like, hit the share button. I'm going to have a very interesting live stream on tonight, and it's going to put all of the pieces of the puzzle together concerning this World War III that the United States is about to enter into, as America is about to be the poorest country in the world. Yes, America, right? America is about to be the poorest country of the world. Why we're having this great reset, why World War III is here, why we're changing from fiat currency, cash, to cryptocurrency, right? As I can even go into the dollar bill and we could break down why Egypt is on the back of a dollar bill. When I say Egypt, I mean the pyramid. And there you see the all seeing eye, the eye of Horus. Why is that on the United States dollar bill? Have you ever asked yourself the question? Why is Egypt? Why is the all seeing eye on the back of your dollar bill? And also encrypted on the top right corner of the number one of a dollar bill, you'll see the owl as well. So, what is the ties of the United States with Egypt? And why? Why is it that many Black people have been to church organizations for years and have not been taught the history of the Hebrew Israelites? Why is that so? Why have they not been taught this? What does this have to do now with the war in Hamas and Israel, Russia? Why is Putin right now in 2023 showing the pictures? And I'm going to show you all this of the Black Jesus, right? Why is he showing the ancient Egyptians pictures, the original pictures of what the original Jesus looked like before the picture of Jesus was blonde hair, blue eyes that was created by the Catholic Church, right? That painting. And if race or color of Jesus should not be an issue, then why was the color changed? Was blacks that were shipped to America in 1619, we're talking about people, about 12 million slaves, where 2 to 4 million died in the journey. Oftentimes you may hear people say, well, you all sold your own, but no, we did not, right? The ancient Egyptians sold the Black Hebrew Israelites and the Jews. And again, I'm going to show you, this is not just for argumentation or debate if who are the true Israelites. Again, as we enter into World War III, which is about to bankrupt America financially because of the judgment that is on America for 400 plus years of slavery and brutal treatment of God's chosen people. The Black Hebrew Israelites is coming, is here, right? And why we're having this financial system reset, why we're moving out of cash, and now you're seeing these judgments taking place, because oftentimes on channels you hear people talk about who are the true Israelites, who are the Black Hebrew Israelites or Jews, and they just leave it at that point, but they don't connect you to this financial system reset and why it is happening in such a time as now. So you all come in. Thank you. You said you have changed your. I have changed your life. Thank you so much. There are pyramids in the United States too. Yeah, we can definitely go into all of ancient Egypt and the things that America have in there. But I want to stay focused, right? I want to stay focused on this financial system reset and what its connection with the 400 years of slavery and the Hebrew Israelites. Why Kyrie Irving, right? Why Kyrie Irving and Kanye West, for example, was, attacked the way they was attacked for saying that the blacks were Hebrew Israelites, right? In fact, Black people are the only people that do not have their own identity, meaning that we are the only race and culture that is named after two countries, Africa and America, when some of us may not even be Africa. Why is the talk, right? Now we're from Africa, West African, but not African, right? But Hebrew Israelites. And why is the talk of reparations now more than ever being discussed and fought for after Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and all the great men and women from Harriet Tubman to Frederick Douglass fought for this? Why now more than ever still in 2023, as every other culture class, from the Holocaust to those Jews to Indians, all have received reparations from America except the Black race or culture who built America, that was built on the back and the blood of America. And why has our race been so brutally treated all these years? All of these years, from feeding of infant children to alligators to raping and abusing the women and um, buck breaking with the Black men. And so much has been done to the Black family, and it continues to stand strong, right? From drugs planted in Black communities to weapons planted in Black cities. All of these things, right, done to welfare, brought in to separate the Black family through welfare system. So again, you all come in, hit the like and share button. I will be back with you in a moment.
Listen, Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a Black man in Africa. If you repeat this back, Genesis 14, verse 13, Abraham steps on the scene. Being a descendant of Shem, which is a fact, means Abraham too was Abraham, born in the city of a Black man called Nimrod, grandson of Ham. Ham had 4 sons. One was named Canaan. Here, let me do some explaining. Abraham, Isaac was Jacob had 12 sons, for real, and these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, Egyptians descended from Ham. 600 years later, my brothers, read up. Moses was born in.
So again, you all come in, hit the like and share button. Let's share the message, let's share the content. And we're going to tie all of this into World War III, the Great Reset, right? Even Solana today is pumping. And I'm going to do a separate live stream on the future price prediction of Sol and Solana, right? You hear the word soul in it. And this is the thing, you all, once we break this down in Deuteronomy 28 as well, you're still going to have to do your part, right? After finding out your history, your culture that has been erased, right? That has been stripped away, taken away. You're still going to have to do your part to prepare financially, because when the United States goes bankrupt, once the judgment is entered upon the United States, and as a matter of fact, let me show you that, then we're still in the United States, right? Genesis 15:13, and the Lord said to him, know for certain that for 400 years your descendants will be strangers in a country not their own, and that they will be enslaved and mistreated there. King James said they shall afflict them for 400 years, a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them. Another New Living Translation said they will be oppressed as slaves. For 400 years, they will be strangers in a foreign land. right? And so also Deuteronomy 28 talks twofold about the blessings and the cursings that were bestowed upon our ancestors for being obedient or obeying the voice of God, or being, disobedient, right? So a lot of things in Deuteronomy 28 that at your leisure you need to go and read and reread. Only 15 verses about the blessing, right? Seems as if God knew that our ancestors would not obey. Only 15 verses about the blessings. Then starting with 16, it talks about the curses. It talks about the curses all the way. And one of the most interesting verses that I will probably elaborate more on a separate live stream is 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again, it says again, with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. And there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you, meaning no man shall be able to redeem you, right? No man shall buy you, no man shall be able to redeem you, but God said vengeance is his concerning the brutish and harshal treatment during slavery, and now it is time for judgment to come upon America. So I'm going to share two videos of these teachings that elaborate more and more. So I'm going to ask you all to stay focused. Again, share the video as well. Let's invite people in so they can also hear this life-changing message as we are live. And the reason why I'm putting emphasis on knowing that you're Black Hebrews, and some of you all may be of Jewish descent, right? From Africa. Ancient Egyptians, Black Hebrews are not the same. They're not synonymous. It's, that's why, if someone tell you, well, your own sold you into slavery, that's not true, right? Ancient Egyptians knew because the Romans were coming to, in fact, let me pull this up before I share the videos. But Rome, they were coming into what we know now as Israel to drive or to enslave, right, Black Hebrew Israelites. And so they spread abroad. They spread out throughout Africa, throughout Israel because of this, because they didn't want to be enslaved. In fact, you have Black Hebrew Israelites right now that is asked to depart from Israel. They're still trying to drive them out. And if you, decades of struggle, dozens of African Hebrew Israelites face the portion. This is recent news. This is this year. This is not, something years ago. So I'm going to show you this. They're still trying to drive them out. Why? Because they don't want this history connected. They don't want more people to come into the realization of the truth, which I don't know why, because judgment is still coming upon America, right? And so you have televangelists like John Hagee, Paula White, um, Joel Osteen, that tells you to give to Israel, knowing that those are not the true Jews. They know who are the original and true Jews are, but because of financial monetary gains on their half and the continuous to want to hide the truth, right? As these decades of struggle in Israel, I told you just that name is from ancient Egyptian. Is is Isis. Ra is for the God, the sun God Ra, and El is for God, right? Just the name within itself from ancient Egyptians, as African Hebrew Israelites face deportation. They are forcing them because they don't want. And this article is from July 17 of 2023. And it was published, look at the numbers, if you can see it, at 1:11 a.m. 1111. I've been breaking that down for years. They're home for 24 years, 8 children, no other country. Now, this family and 130 other undocumented members of the African Hebrew Israelites of Jerusalem face deportation. Receiving an order to leave 2 years ago, she says, was a moment of disbelief. I felt like the government has been merciless to me and my children. And so they're forcing them out by the hundreds. So again, hit the like and share button. I'm going to share with you all. I don't know if you know Dr. Frederick Casey Price. He's definitely he was, because he's now passed on, right, in transition, a general, true man of God and teaching the Bible and the Bible facts. Well, this is his son, Fred Price Jr., as he breaks down, and he teaches it better than anyone I know, genealogy of the Bible. And he's going to begin with, now this is the hour 5-minute live stream. I didn't want to show all of that because unfortunately people have short attention spans, but I am going to put the link of the video in the comment section so you can go back and watch this at your leisure. I'm just starting at the 40-minute mark where he goes into Esau and all of that. So let's listen in, and we're going to listen in for this as he breaks it down biblically for a couple of minutes.
That is familiar to you as we continue on in this chapter. Now, Adah, verse 4, bore Eliphaz to Esau, and Basemeth bore Ruel, and Aholibamah bore Yush, Ya'alam, and Korah. I've seen that name Korah before. It's not the rebellious Korah who shows up later, but a familiar name nevertheless. These were the sons of Esau who were born to him in the land of Canaan. Verse 6, then Esau took his wives, his sons, his daughters, and all the persons of his household, his cattle and all his animals, and all his goods which he had gained in the land of Canaan, and he went to a country away from the presence of his brother Jacob, for their possessions were too great for them to dwell together. We've read this before, Abram and Lot. And the land where they were strangers could not support them because of their livestock. So Esau dwelt in Mount Seir. Esau is Edom. That's what opens this chapter in verse 1, that Esau is Edom. Now it says that Esau dwelt in Mount Seir. Esau is Edom. Seir. This is another name that becomes synonymous with Esau, like Edom. Verse 9, this is the genealogy of Esau, the father of the Edomites in Mount Seir. These were the names of Esau's sons: Eliphaz, the son of Adah, the wife of Esau, and Ruel, the son of Basemeth, the wife of Esau. Watch this, verse 11. And the sons of Eliphaz were Taman, Omar, Zepho, Gatam, and Kenaz. This Taman we also see in the book of Job. The Timonites came from Taman. Verse 12. Now Timnah was the concubine of Eliphaz, Esau's son, and she bore Amalek to Eliphaz. This is where the Amalekites come from. These were the sons of Adah, Esau's wife. These were the sons of Ruel, Nahath, Zerah, Shema, and Mazah. These were the sons of Basemeth, Esau's wife. These were the sons of Aholibamah, Esau's wife, the daughter of Anah, the daughter of Zibeon, and she bore to Esau Yeush, Yalam, and Korah. Now we're just going to highlight some verses in each of these sections of Genesis 36. The first, I want to look at 15. We're just going to highlight verse 15, which reads, these were the chiefs of the sons of Esau, the sons of Eliphaz. The firstborn son of Esau were Chief Taman, Chief Omar, Chief Zepho, Chief Kenaz. So you see this name Omar, you may know an Omar. You see Omar has its root in Esau. or Edom, which has its root in what? Both Syria as well as Hebrew. This word chief, if you're reading the traditional King James Version, because it uses the King's English and the language is more medieval, you'll see the word Duke, right? So it would read Duke Taman, Duke Omar, Duke Zepho, etc. In the same section, just drop down to verse 19. It says, these were the sons of Esau, who is Edom, and these were their chiefs. Now I want you to look at verse 20, which reads, these were the sons of Seir, the Horite, who inhabited the land, Lotan, Shabal, Zibian, Anah. Remember, I said Seir would eventually become synonymous with Esau as well. This is where Esau took up residence. Seir was a Horite, so the Horites became absorbed by the Edomites. So now Edom and Seir are both words synonymous with Esau. Drop down to verse 30, and it reads, Chief Dishan, Chief Izir, Chief Dishan. These were the chiefs of the Horites according to their chiefs in the land of Seir, chiefs being tribes. Now look at verse 31. Just 3 more verses in this section. Verse 31 reads, now these were the kings who reigned in the land of Edom. Edomite kings now. We've gone from chiefs / dukes to kings. These were the kings who reigned in the land of Edom before any king reigned over the children of Israel. Because remember, God intended for Israel to be distinctly different than the rest of the nations, the rest of the Gentiles. In the same chapter, just drop down to verse 40, which reads, and these were the names of the chiefs of Esau, according to their families and their places by their names. And then it gives you some names. And then drop to verse 43. Chief Magdiel, some of the remaining chiefs. Chief Iram, these were the chiefs of Edom, according to their dwelling places in the land of their possession. Esau was the father of the Edomites. Edom, Seir, and Idumea. These 3 words become synonymous with Esau. Now, why did we highlight Ishmael's genealogy? Why did we highlight Esau's genealogy? Because of this specific point. And that is that these sons had to be what their daddy and their granddaddy was, and that was Hebrew. And what am I doing? I'm making right now a distinction between Hebrew, Israel, and Jew. As a matter of fact, I'll throw this out to you right now. Biblically speaking, if we go in the order of scripture from Genesis moving forward, once we get to the Jews who came from who? Judah, Yehudites, or Udites. If you were an Israelite, that didn't mean you were a child of Judah. You could have been a child of one of the other brothers. So if you were a Jew, you were an Israelite, biblically speaking. But just because you were an Israelite, that didn't mean you were a Jew. You'd have to be a Jew only by coming from Judah. And it's the same with Hebrew. All right. If you are Israelite, you're Hebrew. But if you're Hebrew, that doesn't mean you're Israelite. And it sure as heck doesn't mean you're a Jew. Biblically speaking, today in modern times, all 3 words have become synonymous, but they are not synonymous based on their origin. Remember when God told Abraham, I'm going to make you the father of many nations. Israel would just mean one nation. No, he said many nations. Oh, Abraham is a whole lot of folks' daddy. So,
Now I'm just gonna pause by this because a lot of times you hear a whole lot of people in the black and brown community claiming that I'm Hebrew Israelite. Now you may not be. You may not be. You may not be Hebrew Israelite. You may be Hebrew, but it does not mean you might be from the tribe of Judah, which is, like he said, Jew. So you may not be, right? When we talk reparations, people think, just because they are brown, I hate to say black because there's black back there, but just because they're brown that they're going to receive reparation. No, you have to prove that your family was a product of slavery or having land illegally taken from them, right? Just because you are the brown, does not mean your DNA will align you for any biblical blessings or reparations as a result. So I just want to pause right there and get that straight. So we'll go back to the video.
Let's look at Genesis 25. Remember, once again, let's look at verse 1, Genesis 25:1. Remember, once again, Hebrews showed up before Israelites. Israelites showed up before Jews. Yes, today the words are synonymous. They are used interchangeably, but that's not based on the order of Scripture. That's just based on the days progressively moving forward. The Hebrew people were established early on, specifically established by Eber not participating in the building of the tower. Now we have a specific Hebrew line. The rest of the world, they speak other languages. But once the peoples were scattered and God confounded the languages so they didn't understand one another's speech, then Eber was highlighted as the father of the Hebrew people. And that brings us all the way to Abram. And then Abram does what? He gives us Isaac. And then Isaac gives us Jacob. And then Jacob's name becomes Israel. And then he has 12 children. And then we now have Israelites. You didn't have any Israelites before Israel, but you did have Hebrew. You following me? I'm imagining you all nodding yes. And then Israel has 12 children. One of those sons happens to be, he has more than 12 children, but he has 12 sons. One of those sons happens to be one by the name of Judah. And from Judah, you get the Judites or the Uadites or the Jews. Now we have Jews. You don't see the word Jew until Esther, the book of Esther, Mordecai the Jew. You don't see the word before that. Isn't that interesting? So Hebrews gives us Israelites, and Israelites give us Jews, biblically speaking. Are you following me? Okay. So all we proved right now is that any son of Abraham is Hebrew. It's part Hebrew. Might be mixed with something else, but there's Hebrew in them if they came from their daddy Abram. Okay. Now, let's look at Genesis 25. Verse 1. Now we're going to highlight something that we've already highlighted, which was mind-blowing to me. Look at verse 1. Abram again took a wife, and her name was Catura. We get no history about Catura in the scripture. This is Abram's third wife. Where did this woman come from? Well, going back to the Hebrew slave who became free as well as educated, Olaudah Equiano. And in his interesting narrative, in his autobiography, in the first chapter, Olaudah begins to highlight the similarities between the Hebrew people and their practices and the practices of the Jews. And so he starts making these similarities. It's as if a light goes off in him. And he has a running theory. He has a running theory that quite possibly his people come from Abram. And then what does he do? He comes across a legitimate, real deal theologian by the name of John Gill. And John Gill, amongst others, confirmed to Olaudah that indeed Africans, as we know them, came by way of Abraham and his African wife. We know Hagar was African because she was Egyptian, but that's not the African wife that John Gill was talking about. John Gill was talking about this Catura, who's an African woman. And what does Catura give Abram? Or Abraham, who is Hebrew, isn't he? Okay, so that means he's about to have some more Hebrew babies. As a matter of fact, he's about to have some Hebrew African babies. Verse 2, and she bore him Zimran and Jokshan, that's an Arabian patriarch, Medan, another one, father of the Medanim, and then Midian. Jethro, Zipporah. Look at that. A union between a Hebrew man who would be the father of Israel and an African woman gives us the Midianites. Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, in which Moses married Zipporah, his Midianite daughter. And the Midianites were just as dark as the Ethiopians. Oh, that makes a lot of sense now, doesn't it? Ishbak and Shua. Jokshan begot Sheba and Dedan. We are familiar with the queen of Sheba. A specific queen who came into contact with Solomon. And we know they had a union, had some kids. Sheba, once again, directly connected to Arabia as well as Ethiopia. So there's a Hamitic and a Semitic origin there. It says, and the sons of Dedan were Asherim, Letushim, and Lumim. Verse 4, and the sons of Midian were Epher, Hanak, which is the same as Enoch, Abida, and Eldah. These were the children of Catura. Epher is the child that came as a result of this initial union between Abraham and Catura that the theologian John Gill, amongst other theologians, highlighted, that Olaudah Equiano highlights in his book, by way of Epher or Aphra. Add an ICA to that, you get Africa. Yeah, John Gill says by way of Abraham and his African wife Keturah comes this Epher. And history says that Epher waged war against Libya. Now, here's where it gets interesting. I have just a couple seconds, but I have to show you all of this. Could we throw up map 4? Map 4. We're going to go in reverse order. Put up, okay, map 4. This is the world as known to the Hebrews. Now, if you don't even have to look at a lot. Just find Ham's name, Shem's name, and Japheth's name. That's all you have to do. What you're looking at Arabia, you're looking at the Horn of Africa, you're looking at the Red Sea, and that which is north of them. Smack dab in the middle there is Canaan. But if you want a little more clarity, let's look at map 3. Map 3 will kind of open this up some more. Let's look at map 3. And what do we see here in map 3? Oh no, that's pretty clear. That's pretty clear. I pretty much see Ham's nations, I see Shem's nations, and I see Japheth's nations. Japheth north, Ham south, Shem right there in the middle. Notice the portion of Africa that is attributed to Ham. Notice not all of Africa is attributed to Ham, only what appears to be North Africa. Okay? Now, quickly, going back, all right, in our minds to the table of nations, Genesis 10:6, where we're introduced to the sons of Ham. And the sons of Ham give us who? Ham gives us who? Ham gives us Canaan. We're going to work backwards. Put, Mizraim, Cush. All right, so Canaan gives us right there the Levant, which would become Israel, a Semitic-speaking people, Hamitic origin, but would become a Semitic-speaking people. We have Mizraim, that's all of Egypt, that's northeast Africa. You have Cush, that's Ethiopia, that's also northeast Africa. And he also gives us the Horn of Africa, and then you have Put. Put gives us Libya. But when I look on a map today, west of Libya is Tunisia, Morocco, Algeria. Who's responsible for those nations? Let's throw up map number 2, please. Map number 2. See, this is an old world map. And if you look at Africa, notice it reads Libya or Africa. In other words, that entire northern part was Libya. Notice that Ham doesn't give us any West African or South African peoples. Really doesn't give us any East African. He gives us Northwest, North, and Northeast. That's all he gives us. Where then would the Nigerians come into play? Where would those of Timbuktu come into play? What about South Africa? What about East Africa? Where did they come from? The Bible is very intentional. They didn't come from Put. They didn't come from Ham. But notice, in these days, Put had all of that. He had all of North Africa. In some ways, he even shared land with Mizraim, who was Egypt. And let's look at this final map, map number 1. And this will Libya, right there. Look at that. Notice that on this map, the remainder of Africa isn't even considered, because if you look at the table of nations, there's nobody on the earth except Noah, his 3 sons, and their wives. The earth is now about to be repopulated. And up until that point, they hadn't spread out across the known map. It's not until Genesis 10 and the dispersal of the nations that unoccupied land eventually becomes occupied. But because they're smack dab in the middle of the Fertile Crescent, in making their way to Africa, they only hit the northern part first. So Ham only fathers North Africa. He didn't father all of Africa. I submit to you, based on John Gill's findings, Abraham would eventually go on to father the remainder of Africa by way of Epher. And anyone who's West African would then come out of Epher. And therefore, that would make you Hebrew. That's what we're highlighting today.
Wow, so boom, therefore that will make you Hebrew, and that's what we're highlighting today. Again, I put that link so you can watch that in its entirety. I would highly recommend that you do that because he dropped some great information. That was just at the 40-minute mark, right? Beginning from the beginning of it, he break down the genealogy, the descendants, just so you can know that West Africa is where the slaves came from, and you can in the tribe of Judah. I know they spell Jew, not Jew, but Jew, Juda. Why a lot of spellings were changed in the name, so people will not connect the dot. But people, I'm telling you all that judgment time is now upon America for the brutal treatment of slavery of God's chosen people. And I do have to include in that slavery was due to disobedience. If you go back and read Deuteronomy 28, right? I'm not saying they deserved it. I'm not saying slavery was a choice like Kanye West was suggested, but it was a result of disobedience. God said, if you obey me, these blessings will come upon you, which are only 15 verses, and if you don't obey me. So my purpose is this not only to show you who you may be, where you derive from, our history. While we're, again, if I say Italy, you're going to automatically connect that with Italians. If I say Chinese, you're going to automatically think China. If I say American, you're going to automatically think Americans, not African Americans, right? If I say Africans, you're automatically going to think Africa, a continent. So white people in the brown community are the only one connected with two. It was two. However, whether slavery was a result of, because slavery was a result of disobedience, still does not eliminate that judgment's time is here and vengeance is mine, says the Lord. And America, the Babylon, is going to fall for the years of rich and prosperity and brutal treatment of building this country off the backs and blood of doing those harsh treatment. Because it's estimated that if reparations were to happen to the Black Hebrew Israelites and the Jews in slavery, that a 6 trillion plus would be rewarded, trillion. And this is why America is going to be one of the poorest countries, right? And not only just for Africans, but the things that America, when it became the global reserve currency in 1944, has stripped other countries of from taking away the dollar. As the agreement was done in 1944, now the dollar is not able to be converted into gold, which is real money. In essence, mean that other countries have been exporting their rich commodities for depreciating fake money that's called cash. And this is why Robert Kiyosaki, the author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, and myself and others teach that the purpose of cash should be to get assets, real assets. That's why real estate is called real estate. Gold, silver, preferably aspects that are also tax deduction because the tax laws are changing this year as well. Now, this is off topic, but I guess on topic. The question it was, were the pyramids in what are the pyramids in America? I would suggest that you Google this as well because I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this topic because I want to stay on topic. But if you look at Africa's influence on the nation's capital, this is the Washington Monument. It is a copy of the Egyptian Tikhonu built over 3,000 years ago. That's just one example. And then you have Queen Elizabeth in Britain that have also taken a lot of things from Africa, a lot of artifacts that's in the United States. When you visit museums and things like that, have been stolen from Africa. A lot of paintings have been stolen from Africa, right? Just a lot of things from the culture, from the people. And I want you all to know that it was not uncommon during that time for people to be slaves. In fact, the ancient Egyptians had the Hebrew Israelites as slaves. This is biblically where God is telling Pharaoh to let my people go. Those were the ancient Egyptians that had black Hebrew Israelites, Jews, as slaves, right? Looked the same by skin color, but not the same by ethnic and by culture. They were not. And they knew that the black Hebrew Israelites were not ancient Egyptians. Ancient Egyptians knew this. And this is where you get the story of Pharaoh. And God says, let my people go. And he sent Moses. And the people were still stiff-necked then. They did not want to get out of slavery then. It took how many years? Moses was so frustrated with those people. He was so frustrated, was leading those people. They was 40 years in Egypt in the wilderness and in the desert. And that trip was not supposed to take 40 years. He stayed for 40 years. What was supposed to be, you all help me out, as he led Israel again out of Egypt. And as soon as God delivered them from bondage, they began again to worship their idol worships, right? Took them to enter the promised land. In fact, in Malachi 3, chapter 3, God is telling them, look, I want you to tithe 10%. I'm only asking you to give 10%. I'm only asking you to give 10%. I've given you the land as a covenant, as a promise. And all I'm asking you to do is tithe 10% back. And they didn't want to do that. God said, okay, so if you don't give me my 10%, you don't make sure that my priests and my household have enough food in the house, you don't want to get my 10%, guess what? I'm going to cause this to come upon you. I'm going to shut the heavens up. You won't get rain on your crops. Just hard-headed, stiff-necked people. And God also told the Israelites that, you don't need a king. I don't want you to have a king. You have me. Why do you want a king? Why do you want to elect a king? Why do you want to elect a ruler over you? Like a lot of black Hebrew Israelites in America still think today. We want a president. Let's elect a president. That's the way for us to become financially free. That's the way for us to have a better life. I'm Democrat. Now we need to vote Republican. No. You need to hearken unto the voice of the Lord, your God. And you need to make better financial decisions. And you need to know your history so that now you can know the prejudice financially that's set up against you. Because do you think we would have ghettos if you were teaching your children that they are kings and queens? Do you think we will have so much black on black crime? Do you think that we would think less than? The word Negroes, when you look at negus from Negroes, negus, and nigger from Nigeria, right, West Africa, the negus is used as a title of sovereign in Ethiopia. To be known as the King of Kings is a king title. And they took it and they began to call you Negroes. And because many came from Nigeria, they took Nigeria and said niggas. So you still have to apply things, right? What if you get reparations? What are you going to do with it? Are you going to be like the prodigal son and misuse of your money? Now that you're coming into the knowledge of Christ and who you are, whose you are, if it relates to you, what better decisions you're going to make? See, we have to get out of expecting someone. That's what I believe Deuteronomy 28:68 is saying. No one will, you will offer yourself up for sale and no one will buy you, meaning no one's going to bail you out. There's no one coming to save you. There's no one. In fact, many think that rapture, which is not even mentioned in the Bible, but many think the Redeemer for Black Israelites has already happened, or that the Jesus in Revelation, the Black Jesus, have already returned to earth. Right? God did not make earth for you to dwell in and tell you to multiply and have dominion for him to come back and just pull you out of. In fact, it talks about, that you will be changed in a twinkling of an eye, and you will meet him mid sky. Didn't even say he would turn all the way to earth with what's called, referred to as the rapture. But let's get into this. All right, this is more detail. Get back. That was my little rant about they jacked us. This man mysteriously died, but his message is powerful, right? His way of explaining the Hebrew Israelites.
Ain't no African American hair in there. Come on, man. You hate yourself. Who told you your hair wasn't good when you don't even know that your hair is the strongest strand there is? The strongest strand is what you got in your head. Your hair is so strong that bugs can't even live in your head. That's why you ain't got to wash your hair every day. But people have made you think that you something deficient about you, and you got European hair in your head and Brazilian hair in your head and all these other people hair in your head, because you don't understand that you got the greatest. Your hair is so great. Your hair is so great that if you leave it alone, it'll go into locks. It's strong. Your genes are strong. Your DNA is strong. Y'all don't know. Y'all don't want to talk about this. You putting contacts in your eyes, don't know that those light eyes are a recessive gene. It means it's a mutation of the original. Y'all don't want to talk about this. See, nobody wants to tell our people this because we scared of offending other folk. But we got to tell our people who they are, because we done had 20, 30 years of bad education that lied to you about who you are and told you who they were and didn't tell you who you was. And the church has perpetuated by these preachers don't research enough to tell you who you are. Now, if you would have told me when I was out there selling drugs that I was a Hebrew and I wasn't supposed to be living like that, I wouldn't have lived like that. But because I didn't know who I was, and I didn't know that book was talking about me, I was told that book was against me. I was told that book was written by people that hated me. Then I find out this book is all about me. I would have read the book long before. I remember years ago, before I was saved, being in jail, looking for a book. A guy gave me the Quran and the final call from the Muslims. And I was reading it, but I couldn't see myself in it. I didn't even know this was, because when they gave me a Bible, I said, nah, that ain't, somebody messed with that. That ain't our book. Didn't even know it's talking about us. What great lengths did they go through to keep this conspiracy? I said it. When you start talking about who ain't, you find out who is. So now we have already seen in the Bible and DNA evidence that the people who they say are God's people are not. They even know it now. They even said that's the reason for the uprising in Ukraine. The reason why the fight was going on and we got to fight Russia now was because they tried to move out of they know they got to get out of Israel because Israel is about ready to be destroyed. So they want to go back to their true homeland, which is the Ukraine. That's the reason the skirmish came, because Russia said, no, sir, y'all not coming in our back door. Y'all not going to take the Ukraine. And that's the reason. And the Ashkenazi Jews paid all that money, and they get America to go over and start fighting to try to get that land from them people. And Russia held it down. They would not let it happen because they know their real homeland is the Ukraine. It's Russia. That's where they from. But they want to escape Israel because the Bible says Israel is going to be compassed by enemies. And Israel will not, Israel is going to be bombed and destroyed. Just study the Bible out. You'll find out. The Bible says that the real descendants should not be in Israel. Shouldn't be no Hebrews in Israel. The real people ain't going to be in the land. The Bible said until Christ come and take us back to the land. Anybody in the land now, the Bible says, are the Gentiles. The Gentiles are the ones that the Bible says the Gentiles will stomp down the land until the time of the end. They'll be stomping in Jerusalem until the time of the end. So the real Hebrews or Jews will not be in that land. Matter of fact, Jews ain't even a real word in the first place. Jews is a derivative, a extraction from the word Judah, which that's who you are.
I said
I'm gonna prove it all.
Judah and Jews.
I'm gonna prove it all. That's why our music is all over the world. You are Judah. Judah is the praisers. That's why they want our music. That's why everywhere in the world they want our culture. They don't like us, but they'll take your culture over. That's why I go to China. They over there break dancing, popping and locking. They don't know nothing about New York, but they got our culture over. Judah is the trendsetter. I ain't got time to get into that. Go over. Come on, Romans chapter 11. Let me show you. No, don't put the Bible down, because y'all think this stuff is in the Bible, but I'm gonna show you. Look at verse 25. I'm gonna jump to 25, then I'm gonna jump back to verse 1. Go to verse 25 first. Y'all there? For I would not, brethren, that you should be ignorant of this mystery. Mystery, something that's not easily seen. There's a mystery. We got to deal with it. Come on, let's deal with it. Lest you should be wise in your own conceits, that blindness in part has happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles come in. He said Israel won't know who they are until all the rest of the world get Christ. Israel will still be blind. So everybody else will be claiming that they Israel. I heard Irish people saying they Israel now. Israel will be blind until the Gentiles get saved. Then Israel, God will reveal to the world. It's important that the world knows who Israel is, because that's why the world going to get judged. That's what Amos is talking about, that God is going to bring the nations of the world down to the valley of Jehoshaphat and plead with them over his people that have been scattered into those lands. You don't even know what judgment is. That's why they don't want to talk about judgment. You think the books ain't going to balance for 475 years? Are you crazy? If God judged Egypt, he got to judge America.
God judged Egypt, he has to judge America.
Why you think the Bible say, come out of her, my people? Don't be partaking of her sin. Lest you partake of her sins, you're going to partake of the wrath. What does that mean for real? That means we ain't part of this. We got laws, statutes, and commandments that teach us how we're supposed to live. And our statutes and laws and commandments tell us a man should not lie with man as man lie with woman. Therefore, if y'all pass that law, that's y'all thing. That's y'all stuff. I learned I'm not accepting everybody's sin. That's America stuff. And when they come over here, and ISIS and them come, and the Russians come, They got the whole point is to attack Americans. They got the militaries to fight us. They ain't even trying to fight nobody else. It's the people they won't fight because they don't like the millions of guns that we got. The millions of guns is what stop the New World Order. They know they got to get your guns away from you. So they know that the soldiers ain't gonna want to shoot Americans. So now they raising up Russians. There's Russians here in this country that's gonna actually go door to door. Because the soldiers, they tested this thing with Katrina when they sent soldiers door to door, and they realized the soldiers didn't want to pull the trigger on the people that own guns. So they said, we're going to get these Russians and Chinese are now in our country, and they're going to be the ones coming through to knock on your door because, of course, they don't care nothing about you. So when they show up, ain't no need in you trying to be patriotic. Not in the country that never gave you your due. Oh, I said it. Well, what y'all complaining about? Well, just go to Chicago, go to New York, go to any ghetto, you'll find out. This social programming that told us not even whoop our children. Now we got raised monsters, and y'all want to tell us that we don't know what to do with them. That come from Jewish psychology. That's where it came from. That Darwinism, that Freud foolishness that they put upon us to raise our children psychologically, and all of a sudden instead of and we spurred the ride, and now we got mature manipulators. They 5 years old playing mind games with you because they don't even know a whooping. All they know is working with trying to play with their mind. Then because they knew that we would find out that psychology didn't work, they had to introduce drugs. That ain't our thing. Y'all know we always whooped. We did not spare the rod. Y'all know that was our thing. You did wrong, you can be in church. One of the greatest memories I had when I was a child, the black comb don't matter, then why didn't you leave him alone? Because in the catacombs of Rome, Christ was the Pope's gay son. The picture, image of Jesus, this long. Once they all receive Christ, God will wake up Israel. Are y'all there? Look at verse 26. I'm going to show you I'm not lying because, they said there's neither Greek nor Jew, so we shouldn't even talk about who's who no more. Well, why is Paul? Now, Paul said that in the 9th chapter, but he's saying this in the 11th chapter. After he said the Greek or Jew, now he's talking about who God's people is. So it must be important because Paul is an Israelite himself, which tell you that Paul was black. That's another lie. That's a great lie within itself of what the color of the Bible. What great lie was it when you found out that Caesar Borgia, the image of Christ, was the Pope's gay son? The picture, image of Jesus, this long hair, stringy hair man, they said is Christ. It's actually Caesar Borgia. Y'all know, y'all ever seen it on HBO? One of them, it's come on Showtime. One of them, the Borgias. You know how wicked that family was. That's who Leonardo da Vinci painted as Christ. What wickedness is that? The Borgia was he had sex with his own sister, killed his own family. This is the picture of Christ. And nobody asked, who saw him?
Wow.
Where'd you get the picture from?
Wow.
But think about putting that. Now we say, no, we know that that's not the image of Christ anymore. Oh, it don't matter. Oh, we shouldn't worry about that. If you just love the Lord, no, don't come with that. It do matter. If it don't matter, then why didn't you leave him alone? Because in the catacombs of Rome, they have the real images of the disciples and Christ, the true Last Supper. And he had an afro. They had short afros, and they was dark-skinned people. And it's in history that the reason why they painted Christ white was because during the Crusades, the Pope's soldiers did not want to kill people to convert them that look like the Christ. So they painted them white and told the soldiers that Christ is white so they could kill the blacks that did not want to convert, because the soldiers wouldn't kill the blacks because the blacks look like the Christ. Now you study it out and see if I'm lying. And that's been perpetuated on our people. And when you close your eyes, you see this image of it's homosexual. No wonder we got homosexuality in the church. Look at what we've been worshiping all these years. I said it. The Bible says in Revelations that it had the color of bronze, hair like wool. Now, that ain't talking about just the color of wool, because they'll get you on that. That's talking about white. No, sir. It's her right here, this boy right here. That's what it's talking about. Brillo. You know what Brillo is? It's Brillo. Fuzzy hair. That's what it was talking about. Revelation said what Christ looked like. Even Daniel said it. Daniel said, I saw the Ancient of Days, hair like wool. Daniel said the same thing. But they got away with that because our preachers didn't study. And our preachers was in the secret societies that kept these lies in place. That's why we don't know nothing, because most of these preachers are in these Kappa, Alpha, Kappas, and Sigma 5, took these secret oaths, and they are told what to say. They told what to preach. That's why the black community can never come up. It's our preachers in the bed with this stuff. Y'all, I said it. Then jump back to verse 1. Go back to verse 1. Did I read verse 26?
Yes, I preach.
Let me read 26. And so all Israel shall be saved. Uh-oh. Y'all didn't see that? Now, y'all not looking at the Bible, because, see, you thought this was talking about them people over in Israel. Them people ain't supposed to be over. And as it is written, there shall come out of Zion the deliverer, and shall turn away ungodliness from Jacob. For this is my covenant unto them when I shall take away their sins. This is a direct prophecy for God's people in the last day. God's saying Israel is blind right now. Now, there was a purpose for Israel's blindness. Of course, Israel went into captivity because they disobeyed God. But there was another purpose in Romans when he was saying that because Israel fell, the Gentiles got in on the gospel. Based upon Israel not accepting it or receiving it, the Gentiles got in on it. So your fall was their gain. Study it for yourself. Jump back to Romans. Jump back to the first verse. First verse. I want to show you this real quick, since it don't matter. Mighty funny. Paul the apostle must think it matters. Y'all there? I say then, hath God cast away his people? God forbid. For I'm an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. God had not cast away his people, which he foreknew. What ye not that the scripture said of Elias, how he make an intercession to God against Israel, saying, Lord, they have killed the prophets and digged down their altars and left. I am left alone, and they seek my life. But what saith the answer of God unto him? I have reserved to myself 7,000, means talking about a remnant. I have people you don't notice there. And listen, this is the reason why Israel is blind. We don't even know. You don't even know that you God's people. You think you blessed to get you think you was blessed to be a slave, to come here, because you wouldn't have got Christianity if you didn't come here. You don't know the reason why they changed your name was because you had a Hebrew name when you came here. If you go back and study the slave journals, you'll find that they was changing the names of us because we had Hebrew names. We had L's in our name, L's and A's in our name. Hey sounded in our name. That meant that the most Hebrew names have the sound of God in their name. And so they changed our names to, you remember Toby? They gave you these European names because the goal was to erase who you were. They did not want you to know that the Africans sold you. The Africans sold you out of Nigeria, but the Africans were not selling Africans. If you study from Babylon to Timbuktu, you'll find that the Africans did not sell Africans. That used to be a misnomer to me. I would get upset when they said it because I couldn't imagine a people's that stupid to sell away their own people. But then when you find out that in 70 AD, when Rome destroyed Jerusalem, we fled Jerusalem down through Egypt, down through Africa. We went down into Nigeria. That's the reason why African Americans' DNA does not say you are an African. It traces you back to a tribe in Africa, the Limba Bantu tribe, that are still Hebrews. Those people's blood traces them back to the Levitical priesthood, not in Africa, but in Israel. I've done the research. I said I've done the research. And so when you go get your DNA, it's gonna say you come from around Nigeria, Benin, Ghana, Cameroon. That's where we fled to. But the reason why they sold us is because we was in Africa. They were Muslims and we was practicing Judaism, and they grabbed a people. That's why when they brought us here, they got slave slave auction letter saying we have these wonderful he-bows for sale. That was a derivative of the Hebrew. They knew they were selling Hebrews. It was only when we started getting out of slavery that they started changing everything, because they didn't want you to know that you was a Hebrew. Because if you find out you're a Hebrew, you're going to find out that your life is parallel in Exodus, the first chapter. And that we are in a Pharaoh system under a land. That's why on the back of your dollar is the pyramid Pharaoh system that brought us into slavery. That's why the Bible says in Deuteronomy 28, 68, that you shall be brought again into Egypt in ships. You were going.
Okay, let me pause right there because I don't want this going over your head. Him saying that you are in a Pharaoh system. And he talks about what I talked about beginning this live stream, that the United States dollar is connection with Egypt. The pyramid is on the back of your United States dollar. You also have the owl. Also, if you look at the eagle on the back of your dollar bill, not, the dollar bill, you see 13 arrows. That means to fight. And then you have the 13 peace leaves all around the number 13, right? Which means, we can have war, we can have peace. Well, we're about to go to war, right? So many symbolism, the pyramid, the eye of Horus, right? You're in the Pharaoh system when you don't convert your cash into, as I've been saying, Pharaoh system, gold, silver, God's money. Yeah, so hard to tell people about converting your cash into assets because they just want somebody to save them, right? Just give me the easy way out. I don't want to prepare. I don't want to learn about crypto. Again, if you are just coming in, I showed Solana is up. I'm going to show you all the numbers real quick. I'm going to stop sharing this. $36. And Solana have received a new price prediction today. Sold, the root word of that, sold, of 10% of new price prediction of $3,000. But Solana is the greenest of the green. As we're talking about the real Black Hebrew Israelites, right? And getting out of the Pharaoh system, because this cash, people, is about to go down because it is judgment. As the United States face the biggest tax crisis with skyrocketing deficits. Guess since when? Since World War II, a tax crisis, skyrocketing deficit. This old financial system is about to go bankrupt, and it's going to reset. It's resetting and it's going bankrupt for those who are prepared. That's why converting your money, right? Preparing. And I'm telling you why this system is going, why it's called the Great Reset. Telling you why America, the Babylon is falling. I'm telling you why we are at war with the quote unquote Israelites and Jews in UK. He broke that down about Russia and UK. Why Black Hebrew Israelites right now are being deported out of Israel after years because they want to erase all of their history. But United States, the time is up. You can't erase it anymore. People are coming into the knowledge of the truth of who they are and about this financial system and about why this currency system is about to reset, why the United States is facing the financial problems that they are facing right now today. Why we don't know or won't know until November the 17th if there's going to be a government shutdown. And listen at this. Listen at this. Why the United States want to send aid, 14.3 billion to Israel. Billion. And they're looking to cut the IRS cut pay. Now they can send that over there if they want to, but they know that's not the true Israel. They know that's not going to redeem them. If they send that money, they know. And it's fake money anyway, so, whatever. They need to be discussing reparations if they want to give it to the true Israelites. But all right, let's go.
It was only when we started getting out of slavery that they started changing everything, because they didn't want you to know that you was a Hebrew. Because if you find out you're a Hebrew, you're going to find out that your life is parallel in Exodus, the first chapter. And that we are in a Pharaoh system under a land. That's why on the back of your dollar is the pyramid Pharaoh system that brought us into slavery. That's why the Bible says in Deuteronomy 28, 68, that you shall be brought again into Egypt in ships. You will go and you will be sold. Oh, y'all ain't ready for me this morning. I'm going to show it to you. They stole our identity. I said they stole our identity. They jacked us. Let's go some more. Now, y'all ain't ready. Y'all don't want to go here, but I'm going to get y'all here. Go to Deuteronomy 28. I'm going to go there. Deuteronomy 28. Let's roll here. I feel like there's a mandate to wake up God's people. I believe that because when I was in Chicago, I said, look at us walking around looking crazy. I mean, just like we don't know who we are. This word and this don't, because we are people that don't know who we are. Yet the whole world watches you. The whole world copies you. They didn't want big butts till you said, do you had it? Y'all don't even know where this come from. Do you remember the girl Sarah Barton? That girl that was they took that girl from Africa, and she had a big voluptuous body, and they loved this girl's body so much that they started making them puffy dresses in the back. You remember the European puffy dress? You know why they made those dresses? Because they was mimicking this girl's butt. Now big butts are in. Now that you can get some lipo or get some fat put in there, big butts are in. I'm trying to show you that all the nations of the world copy you. They copy you. That's why if you go to China, they are playing R&B black music in China. Go to Nigeria, the Africans are singing our songs.
I'm gonna stop this for a minute, D, to respond to that. They would never teach us in school, especially we have to re-educate our kids. I do agree with the re-education of kids, but why would they teach you this in school? You should learn this in church because it's in the Bible. You should learn this art, learn itself, learn yourself. It's in the Bible. Read it for yourself. The history, the culture, all of this is in the Bible. Or just, do what you're doing now. Get on YouTube and learn it. School system is not made to help you understand money, capitalism, or your history. That's not the purpose of the school system. School system is to create employees, to teach people to get jobs, to teach people to buy things with their credit that will not produce them outcome or income. And just to make their money have an outcome, meaning your money is always flowing out to pay bills on your house, your mortgage, your vehicle, but not to get things that will be paying you with your credit. How to get business credit, how to get personal credit built up, right? And so, come on, people in the brown community, Black Hebrew Israelites, Jews, whatever you want to pray. It's time for you. It's time for the excuses to stop. We have a wealth of information out here. And I'm not saying you're making excuses, D. I'm just saying in general. Once your eyes are open, are you going to change your actions? That's the question. Are you going to sit back and hope you get like a lottery winner, some type of reparations, or God just make money drop from heaven? God doesn't even make cash anyway. Or are you going to get prepared for this financial system reset and convert your cash into assets? Because the time is now, and America is going to be the poorest country. The roles are reversing because of the treatment of the Hebrew Israelites during slavery in America.
Wherever you go, Israel is being uplifted, but they don't know who they are. And other people are capitalizing off the finances that all this money, it says, generated so much finances, but we don't own it, because that's a part of the curse in Deuteronomy that said we will not own that stuff. Another nation will live off of us. We'll build houses, but we won't live in them. That's slavery. Go to Deuteronomy 28, chapter 68. Verse 20, chapter 28, verse. I'm just going to jump down to 68. You read the rest of it for yourself. I just want to show you this, because this don't describe nobody else. And I'm going to keep on saying this till you wake up screaming it. Because if they were smart, they would have took this out of the Bible. Because this is what really, really showed who we were. And I remember being a little child, and I remember somebody saying that, and I didn't even believe it when I heard it. I was really young, and I heard people say, y'all the lost tribe. And I said, nah, shut up. I don't believe that. Because I didn't believe that he had the research to back it up. And at the time he didn't. He was just saying it. But now we can research it, and DNA evidence has proved it. 68, y'all there? And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen. And the key to know who this people is, because they'll talk about other people that was in slavery. The key of this is no man will buy you. What no man will buy you means is you're not going to get, nobody's going to come and get you out of your condition. Nobody got us out of this condition. Lincoln didn't get us out of this condition. If you study what Lincoln was talking about, he wasn't talking about emancipating us. He was talking about keeping the country from splitting. He said, I don't care if you have slavery or not. I just want the Union to stay together. No man bought you. And that's why every time we get a leader to rise up, the leader gets killed. Because no man's going to get you out of this condition, because the Most High going to get you out when you understand who you are. So we going to church, but we don't know who is real. That's why we still in our captivity. I said it. Now you think we ain't in captivity because you'll roll out a couple of blacks with some money and civilian. That's them. Go to any city, y'all know it, any city in America, you will see us in the worst conditions, like we living in Beirut. Israel is there because Israel don't know who they are. I'm proving it. You cannot apply this to no other people, nobody else. Now Egypt, when it says Egypt, America is Egypt and Sodom. Egypt and Sodom.
Camel pause for that point. He said, when it says Egypt, America is Egypt and Sodom. I want you to make sure you understand that there's actually a place in America that's called, I think it's Southern Illinois. It's called Little Egypt. I'll Google it to make sure, but Little Egypt. So it says Egypt, Deuteronomy 28:68, right? America as well, and Solomon.
And that's the reason why I said it before, that the true founding of America was based on Freemasonry. It was not a Christian nation, because the people that wrote all of that stuff were Freemasons. What they said and what they practiced was two different things. That's why Washington, D.C. is laid out in Masonic, as a Masonic and Egyptian symbols, because that is where they got the religion from. They got the religion from Egypt.
Okay, y'all, I'm going to stop, but he said a whole lot. Egypt, pyramid, all saying why the United States, why the Washington monuments, why so much ancient Egyptian influence, because they got the religion from Egypt. Why is Putin showing all of this black history related to religion, right? Also, Biden allowing an epic flood of illegal immigrants. The immigrants think they're going to come to the United States, and the United States is going to be that land, an increase of over 200% in the first year for illegal immigrants. However, a historic high known gotaways since Biden took office, 1.7 million. Our nation has been overrun, but illegal immigrants, this is not going to be the nation that they are accustomed to. It's not going to be the nation of prosperity anymore that they think they're running to, and they're running out of those other countries because they know that judgment is not only coming on those other countries, right, for taking over the land and coming in and taking over and driving out the Hebrew Israelites. They know, but they don't know that judgment is also coming on the United States or America as well. So oil prices are rising after bruising loss. China has warned people, you all, this is a judgment recession. This is a judgment. Crude oil prices, heavy losses. There's no immediate escalation in the Israel Hamas war, right? The outbreak of war spurs some fears. It could be a drawback. And so people, we're talking about World War III because of judgment. That's different than anything we've ever faced before. Zechariah 1:6. I want to read this to you. The Lord was very angry with your ancestors. He said very angry. Well, this is the NIV version. Let me read from the King James. I want to make sure. Very angry with our ancestors. Therefore, tell the people, this is what the Lord Almighty says. Return to me, declares the Lord Almighty. I will return to you. Do not be like your ancestors to whom the earlier prophets proclaimed. This is what the Lord Almighty says. Turn from your evil ways and your evil practices, but they would not listen or pay attention to me, declares the Lord. And he says, where are your ancestors now? And the prophets, do they live forever? But did not my words and my decrees, which I commanded my servants and prophets, overtake your ancestors? Now, those words overtook our ancestors, and guess what? It's going to overtake the United States now. It is going to overtake the United States. All of those years. Now, again, slavery was a result of disobedience from Hebrew Israelites. It was a result of that. However, what we're about to see in America is a result from the treatment of the people that caused that affliction of our ancestors or slaves, of the Hebrew Israelites. Like I said, the only people that don't know, right, who they are, stripped of everything from free labor, right, from understanding who they are, whose they are. Yeah, 400 years, the judgment is here. Ezekiel 33, I'm going to read that for you in closing. God's judgment is coming to America. We just had a solar eclipse, and Joel 2:31 talks about, and we're having another bigger lunar solar eclipse next year that more of the world will see. More of the world coming next year, you all. This is why I've been telling you all, get out of that cash system and get some assets and learn about this new financial system, which is cryptocurrency, because the wealth transfer is coming with that at the same time as we transition out of the old cash federal dollar system. So the sun will be turned to darkness before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. Now, this is talking about the day of judgment. When you hear end times, it is talking about the end of the time, that the judgment of 400 plus years of slavery that has come. Danger is coming to the land, right? It's coming to America. And this is why I'm telling you all that if you are in cash, if you're struggling financially, you better learn about crypto, and you better learn about it fast. As we're talking about this, soul is continuing to pump. $36 again. If you are just coming in, predicted at 3,000. All of this is our new currency system. This is going to be the new world order. In fact, under the pyramid on the dollar, on the all seeing eye, it is written in Latin, a new world order. I'm trying to see something. Look, something else. That can't be what I think it is. Let me see. Looks like it said the great something on this dollar. Let me cut the light on. The great. Yeah, I can't read that. I'm gonna have to get a magnifying glass. I do see the great, but no, it's not the great reset. I'm gonna have to, but it's under this pyramid on this dollar. It says the great something, but this is when the dollar was payable to silver. It was a silver certificate. I have a silver certificate dollar in my hand, right? And what are they doing with the Iraq now? I don't know. All currencies globally supposed to have their own digital currency system. All of them. So they won't be all tied to the United States dollar anymore. Judgment is coming down on these nations for all they have done to the word of Yah is true. We must seek Yah, our Elohim, to find out what he requires of us. Okay, let me read Deuteronomy and pull that up. Then I'm logging off. If you can tell my voice, it's getting tired, but if y'all, I would highly recommend that you watch this replay. Not only did I had two people. What does the Lord require you? He requires that you fear the Lord and live in a way that pleases him and love him and serve with all your heart. I agree, Israel. Walk in obedience. Obedience also means following instructions of someone telling you that this reset is happening and that you need to definitely look at gold and silver. In fact, this article released today. Again, I always tell people silver is not an investment. It's an insurance head for those who already have money. It protects your money. It pushes your money out of the Pharaoh system per se into God's, gold, GOLD, God, GOD. However, I want to put up this last article because you need to know where the financial system reset, where the old money that is going to collapse is flowing into. And guess what? Blockchain, this article, you cannot be all spiritual and not have any education on what's going to happen in the natural, in my opinion. You need to be balanced, right? Just not spiritually minded to, earthly good. 250 years of expertise in gold to the blockchain. A stable entry into the crypto market. So boom, there you have it. This is why federal banks have gold, precious metals, scarcity, durability, primary store value. Since ancient civilizations for thousands of years, people prize gold in their trades and investments. Even in the modern world, gold reserves are a major indicator of how strong and reliable a country's economy is. I teach you all about 1971. President Nixon made cash not able to be converted into gold, right? From other countries. The United States has to pay for that as well. Robbing other countries. Governments and central banks worldwide still have or hold thousands of tons of gold in their reserves as backup, showing that old habits die hard. This is why I don't understand why Dave Ramsey said gold is just a shiny piece of metal and it's not money. If that's the case, then why are central banks holding it for years and decades and their reserves if it's not money? Banks don't hold things that's not money. They won't hold gold if it wasn't money. So you all rewatch this more than once. Please watch this more than once is what I'm trying to say. Thank you for tuning in. Again, don't be so spiritually minded that you're no earthly good. This currency system is reset. Obeying God means also listening to the people that he tells you to listen to and ties into. And I'm telling you, right? In fact, scripture says, if I can't even think about I think I'm fatigued at this point. It's over a lot. It's an hour and 30 minutes. But my point is, don't be so spiritually minded that you're no earthly good. You need to prepare. Get foods that have long shelf life. Store your money up. Visit millymoves.com. Anyone should be able to afford silver. You're going to need financial resources for this judgment that's coming. And learn about the new world order currency system, which is cryptocurrency. Right? All right, you all, I'm signing out. I enjoyed you all thoroughly. I hope this helped you to position yourself for the greatest wealth transfer and the judgment that's coming of all times, because people, it is coming. And it's coming harsh and brutal, just like the treatment of our ancestors during slavery. You all, let's get prepared. Queen out.